You already know what it is. You already know what I'm about. I'm your masterpiece mouthpiece, informative representative with the objective of changing lives, saving lives, and making a difference in many people's lives. You understand me? I am Tony Barge, workplace expert, doing what's vital to my title. I have been appointed and anointed by the Most High to be a watchman over this talent management and talent acquisition industry. And before we get started with the message, I have a very important story to share with you. It's about a client, and the message ties into the client, a chief operating officer client, Allie. And before we talk about her story, I'm gonna tell you about a little bit about how her story applies to me. Earlier in my headhunting career, I learned never be too prideful to ask for help because closed mouths don't get fed, like my mother taught me. Thank you, mother, for teaching me that lesson, because you are truly right. Closed mouths don't get fed, no matter what the situation is, no matter what the environment is. You understand me? No matter if you're a minority trying to prove yourself and you look at it as being a sign of weakness, asking for help, understand this: closed mouths don't get fed. Don't let that be your Achilles heel in your career. You understand? So my client came to me, Allie, and she's very, very successful, powerhouse, trailblazer, innovator, really, really good at what she does. And she almost went wrong by failing to realize. She almost forgot how to ask for help, most importantly. She almost forgot how to ask for help. And to be honest with you, she kind of reminds me of this awesome movie. It's called What Men Want. As a matter of fact, very good movie, must-see movie. It's by Taraji P. Henson, and also Tracy Morgan's in in this picture as well. And so Taraji, she's in a male-dominated environment. So it's an uphill. So you already know it's an uphill battle for her as a sports agent. And even though her performance is high as a sports agent, she keeps getting passed over for partnership promotion. So finally, she goes and sees a psychic, a Cleo-looking psychic. And this Cleo-looking psychic, she prescribes, as a matter of fact, some tea. So she drinks this special tea, and when she drinks this special tea, she receives special powers. And her special superpowers are she's able to read any man's thoughts. So she leverages this special power, and she shows up and she shows out, and she continues to be a powerhouse in the sports agent industry. And back to the story with Allie, my client. I really think this movie ties into her because she is in a male-dominated environment. She came to me for help, looking for a solution to fill her open positions. She had a ton of open positions. You understand me? So as her and I started doing my consultation, we had a deep conversation for over about an hour and a half, as a matter of fact. So we finally nailed down effective and efficient solution, and we implemented that solution, and it was a total success. You understand me? She saved her career. You understand me? She saved her job and her reputation. You understand me? And the moral of the story is, closed mouths don't get fed. Never be too afraid to step outside yourself. You understand me? And ask for help, most importantly. And we're going to cover the exact solution, the exact strategy that I prescribed to her to follow, that ultimately yielded her success. So before we go any further, let's take a quick water break. You know me, put some love into your body. Whenever I say put some love into your body, that means drink some water. So drink some water right now. Water does the body well. H2O, right? So the topic of this message is, what happens if you don't fill that position? In a perfect world, every position would be easy to fill. In a slightly less perfect world, it would be fine to leave these hard to fill positions empty until the perfect candidate came along. Unfortunately, we don't live in either of these worlds. In a real world, problem comes running as soon as these empty chairs in the organization. Let's take a look at some of those problems. First, tension in the office. You understand me? When a position goes unfulfilled, somebody has to pick up the slack now. That means more work for everyone in the office, adding stress to the environment, making it harder for anyone to get anything done. Naturally, tempers get shorter and the office becomes much of a less pleasant place to be at. If your workers need to pick up the slack for empty positions, their performance will also suffer. It may not happen overnight, but the bigger the workload, the lower the quality that's completed product. Even the best people can only do so much. You know what I mean? Second, we have longer hours. As we've established, empty positions means somebody has to pick up the slack. And when somebody picks up the slack, they have to work longer hours. They have to in order to get everything done, including their job, and also the job that they're picking up the slack with. Maybe you've been there before. Maybe you've had to cancel a night with your family because you were covering for an empty position, or you're trying to improve on a team that wasn't performing up to par. Maybe you've had to miss a birthday party, an anniversary, or other holidays because you were stuck at the office filling in for a position. Number 3, pressure in the organization. Okay, let me say that again. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, pressure in the organization. When short temper, long hours, and long productivity festers in the organization, something has to give. Performance can only drop forever for so long. Sooner or later, upper management is going to realize something is going seriously wrong. And they're going to start looking for a source or an issue to point a finger at. That means they're going to figure out the empty positions and bad hiring practice created the problem. They might decide enough to even give a warning to the people who's responsible for filling those positions, or they might decide that the people responsible for those positions in question shouldn't even be a part of the company anymore. You understand? So whatever happens, you need to realize that failure to fulfill these important positions harms the organization as a whole. In totality, that's the reality. It harms the organization as a whole. And it harms people in the organization, and it harms you, and it may even be the reason why you lose your job. We have the fourth. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of good. Let me say that again. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of good. You know what I mean? Let me explain to you exactly what I mean. One of the crucial components of filling a problem position quickly is defining the duties of the position and the skills of a candidate will need to fulfill those duties. That sounds obvious, but the fact is most companies aren't realistic with their hiring goals. They describe the perfect candidate instead of the right candidate, and they never come up with a clear description of the role. So they never know how to recognize that right candidate. When a company doesn't know how to recognize that right candidate, the hiring team will drag their feet throughout the interview process. They'll perform interviews after interviews, not because they really need to know more about the candidate, but because they want to put off making that decision. I call this death by interview, because it virtually ensures that the best candidate will be gone by the time the decision actually gets made. The best way to solve death by interview is to set clear expectations, and that there will only be a set number of interviews before a hire is made. You understand me? This prevents decision makers from waiting around for the perfect candidate who never comes, because there is no such thing as a perfect candidate. Even if after properly defining your roles and the right candidate and you're still having serious problems filling positions in a timely manner, you could also consider bringing in a third-party recruiting firm like my company, RNA Search Inc. Sure, an executive recruiter will cost some money, but the price is still lower than the one you're paying when you fail to fill that open position. In conclusion, these are the 4 tips I recommended to my CEO client. Apply this uncommon information to bring restoration to your situation. I hope you never want as long as you live. and you live as long as you want. I love you. Have a fabulous day.